This is Fujino, a girl who started her journey as a manga creator. She spent her last few months drawing manga, and with confidence, she showed me what she was working on, and it looked like she put a lot of effort into it. However, I had to tell her that she committed the #1 mistake as a beginner mangaka. But what was this mistake exactly? Well, watch this video until the end because we will go over the #1 mistake beginner mangakas make and how to avoid it. Let's dive in. The biggest mistake to avoid when you are starting to make manga in 2025 is actually something that you have probably not thought of. And that is to avoid being absolutely delusional. Now you're like, delusional? What do you mean delusional? I'm not delusional. Yes, you are, and that's completely normal if you are a beginner. But let me actually tell you why. You are delusional, my friend, because you think that you are already good enough despite having absolutely no experience when it comes to making manga. You have probably watched One Piece and now you think to yourself that you can create a story that is as good as One Piece. You know, you created all of these characters and worlds and abilities and powers, right? And you think to yourself that you can become a mangaka using this exact story that you have made, and you also want to get published using that story, and you also want to get an anime adaptation. You just love this story so much, and you think that it is going to be the next One Piece. But that's, my friend, is called being delusional. Absolutely delusional. And everyone who thinks that they can create something as good as One Piece or all of these amazing stories from the start will fail miserably, okay? Now, before you actually click off this video and think to yourself, what is this guy talking about? Let me actually explain what this means, okay? So the thing is, when you create a story, it's really hard to see if the story is good from your own eyes. It's really hard to tell. Okay, and so what we want to do is to actually get feedback. But the problem is, when you are a beginner, you never really ask for feedback or critique, and you think that your story is already amazing, right? But the problem is, when you think like that, you will have the risk of having plot holes later on in the story, which is something you see a lot of beginners have when they start making manga stories at the beginning. But we really want to avoid that because not having feedback and critique at the beginning is really bad, okay? It is really bad for you because you don't really know what's good and what's not. And so that's why you need to seek for feedback, okay? And the easiest way to do that is actually through joining our VIP community. In fact, the first 200 people will be able to join for free. Just make sure to apply the code in the description. And make sure to do it fast, because if you look at the subscribe count of this channel and the view count on this video, it's probably gone by now, so make sure to do it fast, okay? Now, what do you think will happen if you don't actually seek feedback? What will happen is that you will get a reality check. Now, what do I mean by a reality check? You will publish your manga online, right? You will publish it online on, Manga Plus creators or, Amazon KDP or whatever, and you think that you will get good results, right? But the problem is you will not. You won't get the results that you hope for, and that will shatter your confidence, okay? This will shatter it completely because you thought all the people around the world will like it. It will get a lot of views. A lot of people will buy your manga on Amazon KDP, right? But this will never happen because you are absolutely delusional. But let's actually explain delusional a little bit more so you can actually understand what that means. One of the biggest reasons why you are absolutely delusional when it comes to making manga at the beginning is because you are skipping the basics. Now, what do I mean by that, okay? A lot of people try to be like Oda, right, from the very beginning. You think to yourself you can create something as good as One Piece from your first time making manga. But this is impossible. This is absolutely impossible. And still, you always come up with all of these characters, worlds, power systems, and all of this stuff, thinking to yourself you are going to be the next One Piece or that you are going to compete with the big three and make the big three yourself. But this is just impossible. And all of this happens because you skip the basics, right? You cannot skip the basics. You think to yourself that you are already good enough for the basics. You think the basics are, for people who have no brain or something, right? And you ignore them completely. For example, ignoring the Kisho Tenketsu method that we've talked about in the first episode of this series, right? A lot of people ignore that because they think to yourself, well, I don't need a method to write a story. I'm just gonna create the next One Piece right now. But here's the thing. If you want to become a good mangaka, not just any random average mangaka, if you want to become a good mangaka, then you have to go through each step, no matter how easy it seems to you, okay? You have to go through each and every steps that goes into making manga. You can't skip anything, which you will be doing automatically if you just keep watching this channel. So make sure to subscribe to watch future episodes to learn everything about making manga. Now, one of the biggest reasons why you are delusional right now and you are not getting the results that you want is because you are neglecting the audience. Your audience, or the audience that is reading your manga right now, is probably looking at your manga just like this. Why? Because you are neglecting them, okay? And a lot of beginner mangakas do this. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean is basically that you neglect the audience, right? You neglect the trends, you neglect everything, right? You neglect absolutely everything, and you create whatever manga that you like. You think to yourself you have a really good idea and that you want to make it, right? So you just create a manga for yourself without really thinking about the people who are going to read it. But this is one of the biggest mistakes that beginner mangakas do. They neglect their audience. But the problem is, when you are making a manga, you are not making it for yourself only. You make a manga to tell a message and to also entertain their readers. Do you really think that if you make a manga for yourself only, publishers like Shonen Jump and all of those, amazing publishers that you probably want to get published at, do you really think that your manga is going to be published there? It is impossible because you only think about yourself and what you want to create and what you like. But the problem is, when you make a manga, you are not making it for yourself only. You are doing it to entertain the readers and to tell them about a message. You want to tell something with your manga. A lot of people just create manga for the sake of creating manga. They do all of these action-packed mangas, right? All of these characters that are fighting and cool power systems and all of this stuff, but they never ever tell something with their story. They never have a message. And yes, this is maybe entertaining to you, but you have to actually think about what will entertain the readers that are going to read my manga. What are the trends right now? What are the trends? What do the audience like, right? You do not just make a manga for yourself. Please do not do this mistake. Telling a message with your manga and entertaining the people should be your focus. Please. Now, here is your homework for this episode. Write down the main risks of being delusional and have it as a note or paper always in your eyesight, okay? Now, what do I exactly mean by that? Here are two examples so you can understand. The first example of writing down the risk of being delusional is writing something like overestimating my abilities, right? So you write something down like the risk that I think that I am already at the level of someone like Eiichiro Oda, right? And so the result, my story will probably have major flaws and a lot of plot holes. And so what you realize once you write that is that every great creator actually started with the basics. So you need to also master the basics and fundamentals to, become like these creators, okay? The second example that I have is ignoring feedback and criticism, right? So the risk could be, confidently assuming that your story is, great without listening to others. This is absolutely a big risk. And so the results for that is that your work will not be resonated with the readers and you will fail miserably. Okay? And so you will realize after you write this down that the solution is to regularly seek for constructive criticism and feedback from readers and, experienced creators, which you can absolutely do if you join our VIP community. Top link in the description. Do not forget, only the first 200 people will be able to join for free. After that, it will not be free anymore. Okay? And by the way, if you have not learned about the Kisho Tenketsu method, make sure to watch this video. See you there.
僕は漫画家になりたかった。